Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And Jacob Wile, too.
And tonight, we're talking Mr. Banks. Not even a golf clap.
Yay.
If this was Incredibles 2, we'd be cheering.
You know, you're darn right we would.
All right, but seriously, this is like with Incredibles 2 is a movie that's like a yeah movie. This is more kind of a oh my god, that was something else. This movie kind of does leave you speechless, so
yeah.
All right, folks, so it's been a couple weeks since Incredibles 2 hit theaters. We've been backed up with some stuff, but we've finally gotten some time to talk about Bao. Now, it kind of depends on if we talk about a Pixar short or a Disney short. You know, it kind of ranges from movie to movie. Sometimes we work it into the spoiler casts. With Bao especially, this is one that deserves its own conversation, apart from anything in Incredibles 2. Because, my God, I know people who absolutely love this. And due to the kind of shocking nature of it, I also know people who can't stand it. So, yeah, this is kind of sweeping the nation in terms of just the reaction to it. And the funny thing is, it's literally right before one of the most light Pixar movies ever. And I say that in a good way. The Incredibles 2 is very much a romp. And this is just kind of like, well, you know what? We're going to work in some Pixar Tear Factory in there anyways. All right, so I guess generally speaking, my thesis on Bao is, I definitely think it's in the upper echelon of Pixar shorts. I don't like it quite as much as Lava. Lava is my baby when it comes to Pixar shorts. I freaking love Lava. But it is very artistic, and it's almost kind of like the married life of Pixar shorts in a way. It has that kind of emotional impact. And the fact that it's all being told in a day, I think is probably the most impressive thing about it all. So yeah, just generally speaking, I think it's definitely, at the very least, I think it's the most powerful short that Pixar's done on an emotional level. I don't necessarily think it's the best. It's definitely not the funniest or the most sharp or well written, but it's by far the most powerful. And that's it.
All right. Jacob?
Okay. This is definitely going into it. I was unsure what to think about this short. I mean, I didn't hear much about it before I went in, but I kind of like the basic idea of it, like this dumpling like thing coming to life, and I think how it conveyed the story very well, like the mother with empty nest syndrome, and this thing coming to life, and like it really proved to be quite an interesting story. I mean, I don't know. I would probably call it and would put it in the upper echelon of Pixar shorts, just like Tiki would. I mean, I have nowhere near as high of love for Lava as he does, but
I would maybe put this number 3 behind Lava and Jerry's Game if I'm ranking it.
I haven't seen that in a while, so I'll have to rewatch that.
I think Jerry's Game is kind of like the de facto number 1.
Okay. I was definitely quite impressed with this short. I mean, like it was, as Tiki said, it's like an incredibly an emotional short. Like how it all wraps. I was like, it's emotional. It's like, and it even has a very shocking moment that surprised me almost.
This is also kind of like, in a dark and cynical kind of way, an entertaining thing to watch in a room full of kids.
Oh,
like seriously, the first time I went to go see Incredibles 2 was a Thursday night screening, so there were mostly people our age there. Second time was Friday afternoon, totally different story, room full of kids, literally babies crawling around the aisle I was in, which is an entirely different story.
That must be trippy when you watch The Incredibles 2.
Well, yeah, I was kind of thinking that same thing, Dragon. But I digress. When it got to Bao, I was just like, oh boy, how is this gonna? Oh man, this is gonna be like the Mufasa death all over again. I was there for the Mufasa death, folks. I was a little 4-year-old in theaters for the Mufasa death. Anyways.
Spoiler alert, Tiki.
It's some other guy named Mufasa. It's fine.
Mufasa.
Like, Mufasa's twin brother, also named Mufasa.
Yes, Jacob. That's exactly.
It's Scar's long lost brother, Mufasa 2. All right, so here's my thesis then. Okay,
yes.
So this to me, one of the most impressive Pixar shorts in a while. I mean, you can't really miss with any of the Pixar shorts in the grand scheme of things, but this and Lou in recent years just blew me away. And it was honestly one of the best experiences with an audience as a Pixar fan watching this. I had a great audience experience watching this. And
I'd really like to see this. I hope this gets added to the Pixar Shorts Film Festival at Epcot. I'd really like to see this in that capacity.
It would be welcome there, I'm sure.
Especially consider the cultural aspect.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, again, that's just overall. It's kind of my face on. It was one of the best theater experiences. I think it just delighted me as a Pixar fan. We'll get into reasons why when we get to like certain big moments. But oh my god, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, mind blowing is pretty much the word, Dragon. All right, so let's get into the backstory of this. Or I'm sorry, Jacob, go ahead.
Did you guys put it above or below Lou, though?
I would put it above Lou, honestly.
I can't disclose that information at this time.
I mean, I love Lou, but I feel like this is a little bit more of a well-rounded story than Lou was, whereas Lou was more of an idea.
I can give it that. I kind of agree, anyway.
This felt like more of a fleshed-out narrative. And I think that's what makes it a little bit more impressive is the narrative quality to it.
That I can agree.
All right. Yeah. So backstory, Dragon?
Really interesting backstory on this. So this is directed and written by...
It's like a way better version of Sanjay's Super Team.
Essentially.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So, this is written and directed by... Domi Shi, a female story artist turned first-time director. This was her directorial debut. She had previously, she was a story artist on Inside Out, hence the emotional content of the short. She had done a few sequences in Incredibles 2, and she has worked on the upcoming Toy Story 4. So again, Domi Shi's getting around.
Toy Story 4, that's coming in 2019, right?
Yes, next year.
Okay.
That's the plan. So, because you got to remember, they switched the production around, so that's why she probably was kind of put onto a sequence of Incredibles 2, but primarily was focused on Toy Story 4. So, again, kind of a little production snafu with that. So, anyway, from what I understand, this is the first Pixar short directed by a female. Pretty big.
Yep.
So she is important. She is of Chinese and Canadian. She has Chinese and Canadian roots. She mainly hails from the Chinatown district in Toronto. So that's really that's why the short is very inspired by Toronto. It's very design wise. It looks straight out of that Chinatown district of Toronto. It's really impressive. And she was inspired by a lifelong. She kind of considers herself a foodie. You know, she's a lover of food and lover of kind of like the preparation of food and such. And you know, she's. Yeah, it's kind of the mixture of her love of food and the connection to her family, specifically her mother. I mean, a lot of this is her mother in this short. And basically, growing up, you know, her mother was kind of, her parents coming from, basically culturally, you express your emotions through your actions, specifically around dinner time, putting food on the table. So food is a really big bonding factor in kind of the Chinese culture. It's, you know, like the parents may not express certain things, but they, you know, just them making food for every day as a kid and making those meals and making it like a really intimate experience. It's a huge deal. So that's really kind of the lifeblood of this short in many respects. And her mother actually was the food consultant on this. Like she had approval.
Oh, nice.
That's kind of brought her on. It's like, hey, there you go. What do you think of this? Is it right? Does it reflect how we grew up? So she had the idea around 2014, and she pitched it in 2015. So again, kind of like in that Inside Out fray. Speaking of Inside Out, and of course the film's kind of It's 2015 more accurately, because this was attached to the Good Dinosaur. Sanjay's Super Team was definitely projects like Sanjay's Super Team and Coco really opened the door for a culturally specific Pixar short. So again, like as you said, there's a lot of similarities in kind of core, kind of in cultural theme to Sanjay's Super Team, which is a very intimate story about kind of a father and son. And it's kind of about the whole kind of intergenerational kind of family dynamic there. And of course, Coco.
I just feel like this is a lot more accessible than Sanjay Super Team was. Where Sanjay Super Team, it was kind of like, yeah, it was cool that it was very cultural, but there was a little bit of a disconnect for me there. That is Bao.
I don't think you're wrong, and Coco is, of course, kind of the feature length. Everybody loves Coco, so it's kind of
oh my god! I just rewatched Coco recently. It's fucking amazing. I'm so glad it's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's lazy man's best friend, Netflix, and of course, it has the cream of the crop of Pixar film right now.
Isn't that so nice?
Yeah, it's nice at your fingertips. Like, oh, man,
it's not gonna last, but I'm enjoying it while it's there.
I know, I'm aware. So the hardest element of this short was the dumpling, capturing the dumpling in animation, the formation of Bao himself. Basically, we have this great photorealistic shot of Bao being created, like all like kind of the innards of the dumpling. I was really impressed with that watching in the theater, and that shot itself was the hardest technologically you can feel. You can almost like a disturbance in the force. You can hear the animators like, oh, we have to do another pass of the dumpling.
I haven't seen food animation that good since Ratatouille.
True, and again, Ratatouille kind of gets our foot in the door for food animation. So again, we've been building to this, man. We've been building to the day, and we can have a whole short about making a dumpling. And the goal,
you will believe that a mother can make a dumpling in animation.
And speaking of which, so they're
come to life.
Yes. Speaking of which, of course, there's a very big Miyazaki influence on this. With the food, the food animation in Miyazaki was another inspiration for. Like, we can get the food to look like the food in Miyazaki, and get the fields overall like a Miyazaki film. Mm-hmm. That was one of the considerations made there. And
wouldn't it be fascinating if Pixar partnered with Miyazaki to do the first CG Miyazaki movie?
That'd be cool. I don't know.
Only imagine what that would be like.
It would be quite stunning. We've gotten Totoro in Toy Story 3, so never really. I don't know. So here's a recent development with the backstory, because this short was so well received, and everyone's patting Domishi on the back here, and that she is actually she revealed in an interview she's developing one of the 5 original Pixar films we have in the pipeline after Toy Story 4. So that's really good. Okay. And I got to tell you,
I'd be very curious to see a feature-length film from this filmmaker.
Because the word of mouth is the 3 that we do have confirmed so far, at least with who's directing it. So, of course, we have Dan Scanlon doing that suburban fantasy where we know that it's going to be 2 brothers searching for their father in this kind of suburban medieval fantasy land.
Hopefully it's better than Bright.
Hopefully. And then Mark Andrews is reported to be directing. This might have changed. I'm saying what I've heard. But the other, Dan Scanlon's the only substantiated one. And, of course, now recently, Domeshi. So, again, she's the 3rd out of these 3 names that have been kind of announced. So, again, that's pretty good.
I like that after Toy Story 4, Pixar is kind of getting back into the original stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
That's it in a nutshell. That's kind of the backstory in a little nutshell there.
Okay, and I think we've described the plot enough, but Dragon, do you want to just hit them with a 1 sentence, just what exactly we're dealing with?
So a Chinese mother faces empty nest syndrome. In doing so, she discovers her dumpling meal has come to life, which leads to her raising the dumpling baby all the way into adulthood. And boy, is it an emotional experience. There you go.
All right. So I guess from here, folks, we're just going to kind of make it a vlog-style podcast, just kind of talking about the short as a whole. So where do you guys want to start here?
Well, I guess we've covered the food animation. Obviously, it's flawless. It's the dough, the innards, the whole thing. And it's probably keeping animators up at night still, but it was flawless. Tiki, you and I, we have a great appreciation for quality food animations. How did you feel about it?
I mean, I gotta be honest with you. Like, I hate to be I'm a picky eater, all right? So this is not the type of stuff
No,
I'd eat.
So are you a picky eater, or are you a picky food food animation snob? Are you the anti-Hugo of food animation?
Look, okay, like I'm a red-blooded American and also like a half-blooded Italian. So if it's not like American food or pizza and pasta, then I'm really probably not going to be into it. So I don't know what to tell you guys.
I'm not asking you to eat. I'm just asking you, like, texture-wise. You saw that flour, man. You saw
texture-wise, it looks great. I'm just saying, like, food animation obviously is. I'm just saying, like,
you will believe that
when it comes to me, I like my chicken and dumplings. You know what I mean? I like dumplings just like the breaded dough with the gravy. The stuff they stuffed into the dumplings just didn't look appetizing to me.
Well, with getting off the specific edibility of the food, I do like in the animation, you buy the physics of food with little Bao, and that Bao, we kind of have this. We establish the rules of repairing Bao, and I really love that. How we do that visually, where if he gets injured, you reshape him with like the innards.
It's kind of a weird visual if you think about it.
It is. Now, there is a real polarizing element of this, and we should talk about it. So there's a use of caricature in this, and it's polarizing for a lot of people. And here's the wondrous thing. I guess my thing I'm building track for here is that this short at the top of it, it's a litmus test. It really is. And the first image you see, we just see this, kind of this. Chinese Canadian, again, it's based off the director's roots, I'm presuming. Again, we're in Toronto. We see that we're in Toronto. So again, we're in kind of this Chinese Toronto district, and we see these very again accurate, but they're short of they're shortened and caricatured into kind of a cartoony look.
Well, they're stylized.
Exactly, they're stylized, and I think some people it's kind of a litmus test for like, what the heck am I looking at? And I'm not bothered by it.
That's the thing. I really don't think this is a short that kids are gonna like at all.
Sure. I'll admit, I'll go with you. I don't think this is for necessarily everybody, but I think it should. I think it absolutely can be appreciated by. It should be appreciated by everybody. Maybe not. Maybe not enjoyed by everybody.
The 5-year-olds in the audience are probably going to be horrified by this more than anything else.
I'd imagine. Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, I think in the storytelling, I really love how I really related to the routine of it all. That's honestly one of the things that kind of gripped me emotionally with this.
The fact that it was just one day, I keep going back to that, but that's what really kind of sells me on it. The fact that we develop these routines and these rituals, but at the same time, it's just the singular day. And I think the point of that is it just kind of goes to show how strong the bond between a mother and a son is, and that we can experience this roller coaster of emotions, and it takes just the just the afternoon basically to kind of get to that point.
Right. Well, I mean, it's a little iffy of whether it's a day. I mean, we show a day in the life, and then we see again. We see it without getting too into it right off the bat. Let's just say we do see kind of a.
I kind of thought it was like taking place over the course of multiple days at least.
That again, it's a little up in the air of like whether in reality it takes place. I think in reality it actually takes place over a day and reminiscing over what has happened over the course of many days, let's say. I think that's kind of the balance they're striking there.
All right.
So, the routine of,
especially considering the reveal later.
Exactly. We'll get there. We're going to build to it. But I got to tell you, like, my grandmother and I, we do like a little bit where they're on the train, or sorry, not the train, when they're on the bus. And like they're sharing a little snack. I mean, my grandmother, we sharing the pastries and sharing the snacks like that. I was like, it's. When I was a kid, I went through routine. We're kind of like we were almost like sidekicks doing stuff together, running errands and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely related to that. I was like, that's the experience right there. They captured that. Yet again, Pixar, tip my hat to you.
And it's really, really impressive how basically each time we see Bao, it's a different stage in his life and it's a different character model.
Yes, and even with the image before us here, we captured
the image before us is the biggest laugh out. Like, this is not a laugh out loud short, but this is the biggest laugh out loud moment.
Yeah, and I think with this and just other stuff that kind of gets us to this, that when basically we build to this laugh. It captures adolescence and a child growing amazingly accurately, so accurately. And again, it's like literally all the little bits of like the soda bit where he cracks open the soda and just kind of leaves, and he kind of slams he kind of shuts the door abruptly, kind of locking her out of his world, and like all these little. Like all the little aggressions, like the little, again, like the not aggressions in a negative way, but just kind of like aggressions of like, he's severing the tie, severing the connection of like, he's like one of the painful bits for me was like, again, like he turned her, like he's mad at her for like pulling him from the soccer game, and he doesn't want the snack and she eats it alone. It's like, oh man, that's really sad.
I love it's kind of emotional, but at the same time, I think it strikes a great balance between emotion and comedy. Dragon, you mentioned the cooking the meal is a big part of Chinese culture, and we see that in the short. We see her kind of
cooking this excellent meal.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Oh my god. That's food animation I can get behind, by the way.
I'm just saying on the whole, I'm just the dumb is because it's our main character. I thought it was important, but yes, the food animation as a whole.
Definitely makes me want to try that kind of Chinese food.
But so she goes through all the trouble of making this very elaborate meal, and he just kind of writes her off like he doesn't even give her the time of day. That's very sad. However, the moment where he puts on the sunglasses just had me rolling again.
See, that's the thing. We have this excellent balance of and again, it's a litmus test where we have this thing where, again, it's such a ridiculous concept, and you always have that kind of that ripcord of like, okay, we're balancing things with this accuracy, yet it's a little dumpling. And he's doing these adult things, but he's still they measure his height, but again, he can still only grow so tall. And again, we capture the animation so well, that soda bit, and again, like him jumping into the car with his buddies and everything. So yeah, I think it really speaks to Domi Shi. She has a great talent for emotion in her animation. Again, hence the inside out of it all. Which I'm not surprised learning that she storyboarded that. Just seeing how much of that is in the lifeblood of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I think the score is brilliant. By the way, so Toby Chu did the score for this, and again, the score when it gets to the big moment, it's like, oh my god, I'm so gripped by this score. It's like, oh has my money, yes.
I mean, yeah, I feel like Pixar, of course, Michael Giacchino is the go-to composer for Pixar, but honestly, I would really love to see what this guy could do with a full-length score as well, because I agree with you, Dragon. This is kind of an instant classic for me.
What's up there with Domi Shi, or I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'm sorry.
No, Domi Shi. That's just like Domi Shi.
Okay, Domi Shi. Maybe that's up there with her movie. She hires this guy back.
Oh, I would. Again, she has a good working relationship with him. I would imagine. I would hope.
Uh-huh.
All right. So I guess unless there's anything else you guys want to kind of use the build to, I mean, we should talk about just kind of the big moment.
The big moment that's going to fucking scar future generations.
This is like my big audience reaction moment. Here's the big thing I've been teasing up here. So let me build, if I may, if I can kind of build a little track here. So this moment, it's basically what we had before is this kind of this flawless, bold moment of messy separation between mother and child, yet the child is a dumpling.
Yes, Dragon, yes.
So, we introduce again. We have this great balance here in Dubmete. We have this comedy, but then we get really serious, and again, we have this almost like a brave little toaster moment, essentially, where we introduce the fiance, and that's a great laugh out loud moment, and of course, the little ring.
The fiance is fucking adorable, by the way.
I know, right? I love the end. That's the thing. If anyone has a problem with the chibi, again, it's not. I don't think it's actually. I don't know. I think it technically might be the chibi style. I think that's the way you describe kind of these the big heads of the short body. I think it's because I think that was honestly I think that is in the Chinese culture. I'm trying to think of where chibi.
It's like Chinese and Japanese basically.
That's the thing because I've seen it in both, but I'm pretty sure Avatar: Last Airbender did a chibi style, and that's Chinese. Well, it's stemming from Chinese primarily.
It's more associated with Japan, though.
I know that's the thing. So but the point is, we do kind of a vaguely chibi look in the animation. Just again, the look on the fiance.
What I like about the fiance is like she generally seems like a nice person too.
I know, right?
It's like
they can tell that this is the cause of like a ton of conflict between the mother and the son. Like there's some dark shit that went down that this woman indirectly caused.
But she just seems like he doesn't seem like a diz or a dumb person. I think he just seems like a genuinely kind person.
I love the expression.
And there's a
animation.
priceless moment with the fiance towards the end that I'm sure you love, Dragon, that we'll get to.
I love. On the whole, I just love the facial animation of the fiance because it's kind of again so non-threatening, but at the same time you can still read the threat to the mother.
But the look on the mother's face when she sees the ring, she's like, "Whoa."
Yeah, so basically, folks, we're using that excellent score. This is my favorite part of the score, by the way. The score mounts like roughly the 4.5 minute mark in the whole short. It's like the score is mounting as we see. Like we learned that little Bao is leaving. Little tiny bags in hand and everything. He's leaving. And again, and folks, here's the Houdini magic trick of the whole thing. It has me jazzed, and I'm geeking out about like Syndrome is with The Incredibles whenever I watch this part here, where it's just, oh my god, again, it's such a hilarious, ridiculous idea. But then the minute he tries to leave, she shuts the door and she tries to get Bao to stay. And again, it turns into like a serious game. He's ready to sever ties, but she's not. And you have this impactful tug of war. The editing on this is flawless. Again, we cut from back and forth, and we insert on her face, and we see the tears starting to flow as the dun, 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 and of course it gets more and more intense. And we have like the strings, and we have like the background of the chorus almost. Just
to be honest with you, the whole short is kind of Fantasia-esque.
Yeah, it is. It's sophisticated. I mean, it's kind of like next gen Fantasia in many respects. It is.
Like I feel like this would fit in very well with one of our Fantasias that never was.
Yeah, I buy it. Yeah. So the gas moment. So so basically we have this tug of war, this tension. The tears are flowing. We push in, and then there's this moment where she picks little Bao up, and she eats him.
And this is a moment where I'm not gonna name names, but one person I know in particular really didn't like this moment. It really rubbed them the wrong way.
Yeah, go on.
It's divisive. You know what I mean? It's very much like it's a shocking thing. And like I said, when I was sitting there in the theater in the second screening with that room full of toddlers, I was just like, oh man, I am about to witness the scarring of like 50 kids right here.
I gotta tell you, and this is the thing. I mean, I legitimately, out of shock. I want to emphasize, out of shock. I mean, it would have been for other things. I'm just saying, primarily, as I felt it in the moment. I felt myself well up. Like, oh my god! It was like I covered my hand, my mouth with my hand.
It almost kind of had a Toy Story 3 effect, where I was like, oh my god, they're gonna end it this way.
I know, and that's Tiki. That's a 1,000 moment. It's like that screening from Wake and Sleeping Beauty. It's like the whole 1001, 1002 moment of like, oh my god, are they gonna like Pixar's fine? Basically, it's like we've done Borrowed Time. Again, that was kind of made outside the purview of Pixar. The point, like we've awesome, though. I know it is, and we've gone that far. It's the question: Are they gonna live up to what people have been saying about Pixar for years? Are they going to end it there? Are we going to do another Married Life? Are we going to do that? So this is the best moment of audience reaction ever. Here was my thought process as this was going. So I was gasping, I was shocking, the eyes are welling up. I'm processing how far are they going to go? And as this is happening, I had this my mind was going a million miles a minute here when I was thinking. I had so many emotions. I had shock, I had sadness, I had
so you were basically having an Inside Out experience.
I mean, here's the thing. So again, there was shock, there was sadness, there was humor, because then I realized the ridiculousness of it all. Like, she just ate this dumpling. Then I had the epiphany. I had the delight of the epiphany. I had this is the Pixar deep cut for me here. This is where the fan in me was screaming in my head, yes! What I was just, again, this is like, of course, I would never do saying this in my head, what I was doing. Like, this, definitely afterwards, I was like thinking this before The Incredibles just came on.
Uh-huh.
It was like, yes! I was almost like if I were standing up in the theater, like whoever was behind me, he's like, yes! You thought it was silly! You thought it was a bizarre concept, and they got you. They got you. They're brilliant. Yeah, because they lulled you into that false sense of security. They got you with a little goofy short about a dumpling you didn't know if you could laugh at, or if it was, or how silly it was. And then I knew it was starting to get you. And then this moment, it got you. They're that good.
Oh
I
man.
was just thinking that, like, oh my god!
So you basically turned into an entitled Pixar fanboy.
I was like, in my mind, I was like, I would be burning off energy, running up and down theater, like saying, "Yes, they did it!" That's what I felt like on the inside because it was just so amazing. Yes, it's like that's the Pixar I know, darn it. Yes,
Right.
that's them.
You know what's great?
Expectation.
I love that this is the follow-up to the fucking Olaf's Frozen Adventure debacle.
Yeah, you thought they lost their minds. They're working on this. Oh my! And then of course there's that after experience. Then there's that leading question of like, how far do they go with this? Like, is this Pixar finally making us afraid to eat?
Oh god!
The old joke of like, Pixar, they made us afraid that, like, about throwing anything away and bugs and toys and fish, and now it's eating. It's like, are they about to do this? So just back to the seriousness of what the moment really. I'm just my fanboy. But seriously, what's so great about it though is that it expresses this really great perennial fear of, like, it shows the danger of a parent over smothering their child and refusing change. And it's like great, like, you see a moment of change and we see it not taken, because we usually see it taken, we see it not taken in the most dramatic, awesome way possible. It's just a splish of comedy with the fact that it is an edible child. But again, it's the implication. The implication of it, of course, when we have the ultimate reveal, is that a messy argument of some kind occurred it felt like this to this mother. It felt like she probably in real life she probably hashed it out. She probably fought with him. Like, a lot of messy words were said, and then that he left permanently. It's something that felt like she killed her child. She killed the relationship with her child. She severed that bond in the most dramatic way possible. That, again, we have a splish of dark comedy with the fact that it was an edible child. So then there's the twist. So they do the Shyamalan twist of it all.
Oh god. So yes, the twist is that it was all a dream or something like that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Essentially, it was, for all intents and purposes, it was a dream, or basically her, like, kind of
like
reliving.
A daydream, I guess.
Essentially, again, it's a little vague, and I don't mind that it's vague. I really don't. I'm just.
Well, it's kind of like the Pixar "We Don't Care." You know what I mean?
Yes. Come on. Do you just see what we just saw? We don't care.
Basically, it doesn't matter as long as it works. It makes the story work.
Yeah, like, if anyone's questioning the semantics, well, why is it that? Here's the thing: you can look at it in the fun and the actual way it's intended, where it's like, okay, so it's just she's living a sad. We don't know how many days have passed since this argument. For all we know, it's like it's a recent thing that happened. She's just thinking about it.
The way it's like you can either go with what makes sense in real life, or you can go with what tells a better story.
Yeah, or again, there's a horrific real life too of, like, she made a dumpling and she's been, like, treating it like she's been bringing around with her all these days.
Oh god,
that's the dark humor of it all. But again, it's open enough to interpretation. If you have a dark sensibility, that's what you can imagine happened. But again, I think the actual thing is it's a recent thing that happened, and she's just really emotional about it. Hence, the father having tracked down the son and bringing him in there, revealing that no, it's not a giant dumpling boy, son. And literally, again, I love visually. It all comes into focus. She rubs her eyes, and it all comes into focus. This is all coming into focus story wise for the audience.
Oh
my god! And then it's great.
Her son.
Yes, and
who for some odd reason bears an odd resemblance to the dumpling.
Yes, and
Dragon. Was I the only one who thought that? I'm not saying this in a bad way. Like, obviously, I didn't take anything away from this, but did the son look a little Ronaldo-esque?
No.
I guess it was just me.
Don't try and poison this with your Ronaldo hatred. How dare you bring Ronaldo into
Ronaldo? I really do.
I know. How dare you bring Ronaldo into this happy experience? So you come to this acceptance that her son has grown, and the fiance is not half bad. And we have it with that little delightful little moment where we see the families together. They've kind of gotten past that messy breakup they had. They've kind of gotten together, and he can't make the dumpling, but she's an expert at it. She's great.
I love that they all give her the little clap. That's just the most adorable thing in the world.
It is.
Like I said, they could have just wrote her off as like a joke character, but she Generally seems like she's interested in this.
And at the end, I love the message of, again, the reason the thing's called Bao is not just for the fact that, okay, the kid, if the dumpling did exist, then he would have been called Bao, because what are you going to call him, dumpling boy? You have to call him Bao. Is that it's the fact that Bao is a food. Essentially, I think I may have left this out for this purpose. I don't know if I did intentionally. It's just going to happen this way. The point is, Bao is food that brings families together, like Christmas cookies or a Thanksgiving turkey. It's something you come together to prepare. That's kind of what the significance of the handmade dumpling is. Like, you make this with family together for special events and such. So again, it's like Bao bringing people together, and of course Bao being the son. So now the family is whole. So it's kind of that great kind of double entendre of storytelling awesomeness kind of going on there.
Mm-hmm.
That's really nice. All right. So my mind's blown by it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I also forgot to mention this off the top, but I actually went into Incredibles 2 completely blind on what the short was going to be, so it kind of had double the impact for me.
I knew it was going to be called Bao.
It was like basically anything that's not a Lost Frozen adventure, and I'll be happy.
I knew it was Bao and maybe about a dumpling. That's all I knew going into it. Maybe.
But yeah, like we keep saying, I definitely think this, while Sanjay's super team was an admirable effort, I think this is kind of the perfection of the cultural short that Pixar kind of set out to do with that one. I really do think this is going to live in the upper pantheon. And I also think it's going to scar a lot of kids. I really do.
Kind of delightful, though.
I like to see more of their cultural shorts.
Yeah.
Right. I guess that's about it then.
Well, hold it, Tiki. I want to bring something up because we got to bring this up. Is that I was bringing up Lou earlier. It got me thinking. Remember when we did Lou and we talked about, Lou was like the drunken dare of Pixar shorts, where it's like, Dave. It's like, hey, Dave, listen. Okay, Dave. It's like at the Christmas party. It's like, okay, Dave, listen. You can make a lost and found come to life. It'll make your career.
Okay, to be fair, I don't think, not throwing any shade on Bao at all, but I don't think a dumpling is quite as impressive as a lost and found.
Well, no, here's the thing. I'm just saying that was Lou. Okay, so Lou was the drunken dare, and Bao was like, it's a bet to prove your merit. It's like, it's almost like a little story itself. Like, okay, Domishi, listen, okay, we're going to give you a short. And if you can do this short, here's what we're going to do for you. If you can do this short, we're going to give you a movie, one of the big original movies. And Domishi, we have faith in you. That's why we're giving you this opportunity. Here's what you got to do, though. You got to go for something food related. You got to go. It's almost hard to believe. Okay, you got to make. I love
this premise that Pixar is just run on drunken dares.
I'm gonna say, if Lou is a drunken dare, that's insane that you can make that work. And this is like, okay, after the success of Lou, we kind of have a notion, and I was just off of a drunken dare. So listen, we got faith in you, Domishi, but what we want you to do, and they're completely sober here, but they're crafty. They're crafty and sober here. It's okay. Here's the bet. We want you to prove your merit here. You got to make us feel with a dumpling, with a food of some kind. It doesn't have to be a dumpling. You can call it something else, maybe like some more friendly, some more colloquial, maybe like Bao or something. I don't know. You be the judge. The point is, you got to make us feel. You got to kind of scar people like with Mufasa, but you got to give us our Pixar's version of Mufasa in a short film with an edible protagonist. That's what you got to do. If you can do that, we'll give you your own movie. Of course, it's
oh, God.
So essentially, they pulled off the impossible yet again. It's proof that Pixar can do anything. Very impressive and very promising work. I'm on the edge of my seat. I really am super excited to see what Domishi's gonna pull out next. I'm sure it's gonna be superb. It's gonna be fantastic. So again, Bao, big fan. Okay.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for watching. I don't even have a clever outro for this. Stay tuned in August for Christopher Robin, because that movie looks amazing, just like Bao, but I'm probably hyping up Christopher Robin and it's going to be mediocre. But I digress.
Don't eat your children.
All right. See you guys later.